it's Joe Roberts with 1WineDude.com, and it's time to get this party started. The reason I'm pouring the Pol Roger, my French is terrible. The reason I'm pouring this is it's in celebration of the my wedding anniversary, actually, which comes at the same weekend as the royal wedding that you can't turn on the TV and sit there for 45 seconds without seeing, displayed about 700 times. So the congruence of these two events has made that royal wedding take on a little bit more importance in my household than I would otherwise have suspected. My wife throwing some parties, etc. So we've been breaking out the bubbly for that. And this, in fact, is I think it was the official brand of the wedding reception for the royal wedding. So cheers. I'm not going to spit this. So that's not what I'm talking to you about today, although it's a pretty good wine, actually. I would, if you're into champagne and you like it big and you like it with a lot of bread and like way, way, way high amounts of green apple fruit, then you might probably want to try that. Click, click, click. Cheers. I want to talk a little bit about something that's been on my mind with the Georges Duboeuf Wine Book of the Year Awards, for which I'm a judge. I don't understand it either, people. They asked me. I don't know how they found me. I have not written a wine book. I'm probably the least qualified person ever to judge this award, so apologies to those of you who are finalists. I don't know if I can announce a finalist, so I'm not going to do that yet, okay? But I absolutely will be talking about this because I found the process kind of fascinating, and I will get into exactly what I'm telling these guys about each of the books, which ones I picked, my number 1, my number 2, my number 3, etc. I'm going to go through all that in upcoming posts in the Going Pro series here on 1WineDude.com, and I'm going to give away some of those books as well. So it should be fun. So tune in for that. One of the things that they asked us, one of the criterion that one of the criteria, man, we're going to need to Google this action. Anyway, a criterion that we used to judge was long-term appeal. And I thought that was kind of an interesting and fascinating thing. And they didn't describe what long-term appeal meant. So I took it upon myself to think about that. And I one of the pieces of feedback that I gave for this competition judging was they should probably elaborate a little bit more on what some of those what they're expecting with some of that terminology and what things like long-term appeal mean. So I took it to mean two things, and one was long-term appeal for an individual reader. In other words, if you read this book and you are done with it, will you come back to it? Will it continue to teach you more things? Will it kind of grow with you a little bit as you get more into that particular subject, whether it's a wine region, types of wine, the wine releases of a certain area, etc., etc., right? The other I took to mean, would the book matter several years from now? Now, I don't know what several years means, but will that book actually still be relevant in some way, shape, or form a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And it got me thinking, and there's a couple of books, by the way, that I think meet both of those criteria very well. And it got me thinking, well, with wine writing in general, and especially now that we've got stuff online and we're able to throw this stuff up there really quickly, and in my case without proper editing, will that writing matter? Yeah, will it mean something? Will people come back to it? I think that's a tougher call for online writing. I think people don't come back to it as much as they would in printed form. It becomes less of a resource. I think also, though, that the things that we tend to cover on blogs, events, producer profiles, releases, samples. I mean, a lot of that stuff has a fairly short relevant time frame. New releases are out there for a few years. On the lower end, in terms of inexpensive scale, maybe even less, right? Expected to drink that stuff in several months or less. Producer profiles, well, producers are coming up all the time, getting bought up all the time, disappearing all the time. So profiling a producer, I mean, even the ones that stick around for a long time, they change hands, and quality goes up, it goes down. So getting into detail about a producer is only probably relevant for however long, months, years, whatever it is, depending on the staff turnover, etc. So it really got me thinking about the type of writing that I want to do. And I actually think I want to continue to get more and more into things around why wine matters, why wine appreciation matters, why we shouldn't be afraid of wine, and why we should be able to drink inexpensive stuff and more expensive stuff like this, and not be afraid to do stuff like this. And just because it's uncouth, right? But seriously, I mean, it's, those are the things that will be relevant and helpful to people for years and years and years. And I think in a very probably egotistical way, I'm kind of hoping that the type of stuff that I write about in the Zen wine area and the wine appreciation area, maybe even some of the Going Pro stuff, will live on a little bit longer than a week, or 2 weeks, which seems to be kind of the lifespan of an online post. So I'm wondering what you people out there think about that longevity. What does long-term mean to you? Do you think it's even a relevant discussion for writing about a product that has a shelf life, in some cases a very long one, in some cases a very short one, or producers that can be around for hundreds of years or a couple years? Do you think it's relevant? Should wine writers online be thinking about that longevity? Should we mix it up? Should we give you a little bit of the short-term stuff, new releases, a little bit of the medium-term stuff with producers, and then longer-term stuff that really gets more into the philosophical elements of pleasure and what we get out of wine? So I'd love to hear about that. Give me your thoughts. Personally, I like to mix it up because I get bored very easily and I have the attention span of a gnat. So hopefully I can offer all three of those things, short, medium, and long term, to folks out there. When we talk about short, no height jokes, please. Cheers. Wearing this shirt because I'm very happy with the draft picks. Good job, Stillers. Cheers.